Hello everyone and welcome to a new recording in which I'm going to talk about smoothing polygons. So first off, this is your usual not my territory game. And one thing that bothers me right now is the fact that the outline for both the places where you can go from a certain tile, right? And the outline of the territory that you control, or that enemies control, are really, hexagony, and that bothers me a lot. I want them to be a lot smoother. So there are a couple of things related to that. First off, how do you smooth a polygon? So I went on and tried to figure out how I would go about doing that. I tried looking for stuff online, but there isn't a whole lot related to that. The obvious way to do it is basically to take a spline of every side of the polygon and to take every vertex as a control point between those sides. So for example, you go from this to there, which gives this result right there. So as you can see, we have a fake polygon that goes from here to there and so on, and then we draw a smooth line where the control point is there. It's a quadratic Bézier curve, if I pronounce this correctly. And how you go about doing that is rather simple. You need a few couple functions. This one, which basically takes the average between 2 points, which is used to compute the middle point between every vertex of the polygon. So you take your polygon here, you take the middle of the edge of every edge of the polygon, and then you compute the quadratic curve of it, and so on until you compute the last one, which closes the loop, and then you're done. Now it looks okay, it does smooth the polygon a little bit, and here is what it looks like inside of the game. But it still bothers me quite a bit, because you have all those wavy lines, which look weird to me. You see, we're basically just cutting the rough edges, and that's it. But it doesn't give like a nice border as a result. It's not exactly smooth. It's more like, discretized or something, and I don't like that. So I tried exploring a little bit. One idea that I came up with was to try to make the polygon bigger, but I need an algorithm that is pretty fast, and like trying to figure out where is the polygon at, in which direction is the polygon needs to take into account all the points in the polygon, and the polygon can be quite huge, as you can see, and this is just a small size actually. So I wanted to do something that was more local. So for example, if I have this point, and I know, because I have the polygon, that the vertices connected to this point are this one right there and that one right there, then I can compute a vertex that is slightly more outwards, which of course in this case will mean that it's going to be more inwards, but it doesn't really matter to me. Basically it increases the angles in every direction, and in order to do that I used that function that I called extremize point, which computes the average between the two neighbors and looks at the distance between that average and the point we want to extremize. We take a portion of that and we move that point in that direction, and we do that for all the points. After we do that, we use the same technique as before to smooth the curve, and we get this, which, does give a border, but it's not exactly what I want. It's like a more extreme version of the previous one. Let me show both of them at the same time. So the good part is that at least the border is not always inside of the polygon, it can go outside, and here is what it looks inside the game. There. And as you can see, it is exactly that, an extreme version of the previous algorithm. And it looks weird at places for some reason as well, and I really don't want that. So that's even worse than what we had before. So another idea that I thought about was, instead of taking the polygon that we had initially, we can take a simpler version of the polygon by taking the average between every side of the polygon. So we take this point, which is the middle of the edge, that point, that point, that point, that point, that point, and so on. We obtain a simpler version of the polygon, and with that simpler version we do the same thing all over again, which is we extremize all the points in all directions, and then we compute the Bézier splines between the middle of the sides of the fake polygon, that is the middle of each edge of the polygon that is made of the middle of the edges of the initial polygon, if you follow me. And then we get the splines, and we get the following result, which I believe is a lot better. It's a simpler version, it's certainly a lot smoothed out, but the result is hugely better, and it is that. As you can see, even though the hexagons are like this, tack, 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 and so on, the result is all smoothed out into a straight line, which I find really good. Same thing for the border of the tiles we control here, and so I'm quite pleased with that. I'm really happy with it. It's pretty fast, and of course it looks good as well if we zoom out like that. Of course, the implementation of it is a lot more complex than just what I'm saying right now. For example, we don't actually have the polygons to begin with. We only have the set of all the tiles that are inside here, but you know, it's not necessarily a straight polygon. You can have like one piece there and then the rest there. And based on the set of all the tiles, I have to compute all the borders, which actually means that I take all the points that define the border, and then I try to compute all the polygons. For example, I know that I have a line between this point and that point, and I know that I have a line between this and that, and so on, this and that, this and that. And of all those lines, I compute the polygon by looking first at this line, and then I try to find another line that starts here, see where it goes, and I learn that it goes there, okay, actually there, and I try to see which line goes from here to somewhere, and so on. Now, there can be a lot of tiles that we control, you know, we can cover a lot of ground in the game. It's not as bad as it sounds, because we only render the border for the tiles we can see. When we move them out of sight, they are not painted anymore. So it's all good. So this is it. This is a presentation of the smoothing polygon algorithm that I made. It's, I believe, rather good, and if you have any ideas to improve it, I'm just happy to hear about it. Let's just go through them once again. So we have this one, we have that one, we have this one, which is really, it's a worse solution, but it's actually a way forward towards this, which is, I believe, the best solution. Anyway, thanks for having watched this. I hope that you were interested by some of the algorithms and stuff that you find there. I mostly do this video because I kind of struggled trying to figure out a good algorithm to do that. Thanks a lot, and I guess see you next time. I'm not sure when I'm going to do a next video. I suppose I will try to improve the AI in a good way, and I can do a video on that. I may try to work on WebGL stuff, and that could be video content as well. Anyway, see you next time.